Hey everyone, welcome to the video. So today we're going to be discussing whether we will ever get a Saints Row 2 remaster and what we'll have to do to eventually get to that point. Now look, a lot of you guys are going to be upset with what I have to say in this video, but I'm pretty sure most of what I'm going to say is true. So try not to get too mad at me, I'm just kind of delivering the news to you guys, okay? I'm just telling you what has to happen in order for us to get the Saints Row 2 remaster. And while it may upset a lot of you, it's our best chance, and obviously it's not confirmed that we'll ever get a remaster. But in order for us to even have a small chance of getting a remaster, this is what's going to have to happen. So, let's get into the video. So, a lot of people's thoughts after seeing the reboot were, I would prefer a Saints Row 2 remaster to this. So, before we get into discussing what we're going to have to do to get the remaster, I'm going to explain to you why we haven't got a remaster up in this point. So, the reason we got a Saints Row 3 remaster is because it's easy to work with and it was the best selling game. Saints Row 2 was neither of those things. The source code is messy as fuck, and it didn't sell that well in the Saints Row series, really. Also, what people need to realise is Volition had just come off the flop of Agents of Mayhem. Now, the problem with this is that means they are working on a limited budget because Agents of Mayhem did not sell well. So they're going to have less money to work with on the next upcoming title, and that if they were just to release a remaster, they would just go under as a company. As you can imagine, low budget to work with and high game production costs probably won't mix too well, so that is why we are yet to get a remaster up until this point for Saints Row 2 specifically. Same with Saints Row 1, both of their engines and source codes just tricky to work with and practically impossible to actually make, whereas I could perhaps see us getting a 4 remastered before we get a 2 remastered at this current moment in time, but we're going to get onto that shortly because that could all change. Now, any smart viewers might go, but didn't they just get Saints Row 3 remastered by a different company? Couldn't they do that for 2? I'm going to go with no, because of how tricky the source code is to work with. They're probably going to need some of the original team to be working on it. I mean, Mike Watson, who was a huge fan of Saints Row 2, was struggling to get the source code working himself for this patch. So, you know, they're probably going to need some of the original team of Volition working on it, and it'd probably have to be like a major project to work on, kind of instead of a full game at that point. Yo, Future AJ here. I'm doing editing and completely forgot to leave out this huge segment that actually has really important information for you guys. You also have to understand that they have to validate this remaster with Deep Silver, and you got to understand that this remaster would only be appealing to a fraction of the fan base. You got to understand not a lot of Saints Row fans have really played Saints Row 2, 3, and 4 were the far more popular games. They sold a lot better. So while us as OG fans understand how big this is, a lot of people might not. So you'd be getting like a fraction of the Saints Row community buying the game, and then obviously, like, that's just not great when you're coming off of a loss with Agents of Mayhem. They'd be taking a loss on making a remaster for sure, money-wise. Like, I'm just guaranteeing that right now. So, yeah, just be aware that they would only be getting a fraction of the fan base behind this game. And I feel like they would miss out on quite a decent bit of money opposed to making a new game. So, yeah, that's important that I completely forgot to say. But, yep, enjoy the video, I guess. But anyway, let's proceed with the actual topic of the video. What do we need to do to get a Saints Row 2 remastered? And get ready for the answer that's going to upset an entire group of people. You've got to support the reboot. Yep, I know a lot of people are going to be upset to hear that, but if you want an SR2 remastered, this reboot has to sell well, and here's why. After coming off the flop of Agents of Mayhem, Volition are struggling for money. They have to prove to Deep Silver that they're an IP worth keeping around, and a studio worth keeping around, aka the whole Saints Row Volition thing. So, to do that, they need a game that's going to sell well, which is why we had a Saints Row 5, aka the Saints Row reboot. Now, if this reboot sells badly, Deep Silver has no reason to keep Volition around with the Saints Row IP, and it will be sold on. Now, while that's not a huge problem, we're just changing publishers, the major problem is A, Volition themselves might go under as a company, which I think is a big problem, and B, if they can't prove that any new games are going to pull in any sort of fans, then what's the point of them remastering the old ones? They'd have no money to work with in the first place, at least. I mean, like, they can't just get money out of nowhere. They need this reboot to sell well so they have a nice budget to work with to do this Saints Row 2 game that everyone wants, but if the reboot flops, they're going to have no money. It's just impossible to do unless they have a nice bit of money and budget to work with. I mean, maybe if Agents of Mayhem sold a bit better and this reboot sells well, perhaps we could have had a Saints Row 2 remaster, but if this reboot flops, your dreams of Saints Row 2 remastered are gone. Let's just be real, okay? It's not the answer many people want to hear, but it's a true answer. If the reboot doesn't sell well, we have no chance of a Saints Row 2 remaster. But if this reboot does sell well and Volition has a bit of a budget to work with, they know what the fans want, okay? They've remastered 3, in my opinion, as a way to tell us that they're willing to do remasters. That, like, they are okay with doing remasters, but I just don't think they had the budget for 2. I mean, 2 is a much bigger game than 3 and 4. I mean, it is even just in size. I'm pretty sure that Saints Row 4 and 3 are like half the size of Saints Row 2. It's crazy. So we've just got to understand that they need a budget to work with. So, let's imagine this reboot sells well. I think we're going to get the game. I genuinely do think we'll get a Saints Row 2 remaster if this reboot sells well. If this reboot doesn't sell well, I think Volition will go under. Or we'll have a problem with Volition running out of money to a certain degree and get some crappy spin-off game like we did with Saints Row 4 originally. That will please nobody. I mean, Saints Row 4 was supposed to be so much bigger, and then we got what we got because of THQ going under. I think this can be a similar problem that we may have with the Saints Row IP. So, if you want a Saints Row 2 remaster, you just got to support the reboot and support Saints Row as a company. It may not be what you want to hear, and I know it's going to piss a ton of people off, but it's what we got to deal with, unfortunately. That's the cards we've been dealt, and if this reboot doesn't do well, they'll have no money to work on it. It's just common sense at this point. And I know people will go, well, I don't want to support the reboot because I don't like the game. That's fair. And if you're no longer a Saints Row fan because of the reboot or 3 and 4, that's fine. That's completely up to you. But just understand that you not supporting this game lowers the chance of a Saints Row 2 remaster. Now, while I'm not telling you have to support the game, if you want to support the game and want a Saints Row 2 remaster at the same time, they'll come hand in hand. So I might as well leave you with that. I don't think there's much more for me to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.